I'm Claire. 6 years ago, I walked away from the man I once loved without a word. I carried with me a secret, a tiny life he never knew existed. I rebuilt my world piece by piece, until one day his name echoed across a crowded book fair and everything shattered. Don't look away, because what happened next will take your breath away. Before I share my story, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe if you've ever been through heartbreak for love or family. Trust me, you're going to want to hear what happens next. The morning smelled like fresh ink and coffee, the perfect combination for a Saturday at Portland's annual Children's Book Fair. Luna bounced beside me, her small hand sticky with the remains of a blueberry muffin I'd let her eat in the car. 5 years old, and already she had opinions about everything, especially books. "Mommy, can we get the one with the dragon who's scared of flying?" She tugged at my cardigan, the yellow one she'd picked out for me this morning because it matched her sunflower dress. "We'll see, baby." I smoothed down her dark hair, trying not to notice how it caught the light exactly like, no, not today. The convention center buzzed with families, the kind of cheerful chaos that usually made me feel invisible in the best way. Just another single mom with her daughter, blending into the crowd. Safe. Then I heard it over the loudspeaker. "We'd like to thank our platinum sponsor, Atlas Pierce, CEO of Nexus Global Media, for making today's event possible." My coffee cup slipped. Hot liquid splashed across my wrist, but I barely felt the burn. That name. After 6 years of carefully constructed silence, his name still had the power to knock the air from my lungs. "Mommy." Luna's concerned face tilted up at me. Those gray-silver eyes, his eyes, searched mine for reassurance. "I'm okay, sweetheart." The lie came easily. I'd gotten good at those. I should have left right then. Should have scooped Luna up and retreated to our safe little world of bedtime stories and Saturday pancakes. But she'd been talking about this book fair for weeks, had drawn pictures of all the books she wanted to find. Her happiness mattered more than my ghosts. We moved through the crowds, Luna chattering about picture books while I scanned faces like a soldier in enemy territory. What were the odds he'd actually be here? CEOs wrote checks. They didn't typically show up to, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Atlas Pierce to the main stage." The universe, it seemed, had a twisted sense of humor. I couldn't see the stage from where we stood near the picture book section, but I could hear him. That voice, deeper now, but still carrying the same precise pronunciation that used to make him self-conscious in college. He was talking about the importance of early childhood literacy, corporate responsibility, building better futures. Luna pulled toward a display of illustrated fairy tales. "Mommy, look! They have the one where the princess saves herself." "That's wonderful, baby." My voice sounded strange, distant. On the monitor overhead, I caught a glimpse of him. The boyish softness had been carved away by years and success, leaving sharp angles and tired eyes. He wore the uniform of his new world, tailored suit, no tie, the calculated casualness of tech money. "We should go, now." But Luna had found the reading corner, was already settling in with a stack of books. I perched on the edge of a tiny plastic chair, watching her trace words with her finger, pretending to read stories she'd memorized. "She's beautiful." I jerked upward so fast the chair toppled. He stood 3 feet away, hands in his pockets, looking at Luna with an expression I'd never seen on his face before. Raw wonder mixed with something else. Recognition. "Thank you." The words came out sharp, protective. I stepped between them instinctively. His eyes moved to mine, and for a moment, we just stood there. 6 years collapsed into nothing. I was 22 again, crying in a hospital bed while he was in London, choosing a conference call over his wife's first ultrasound. "Claire," just my name, but weighted with questions. Luna looked up from her book. "Mommy, who's that?" I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. His gaze moved between us, taking in her dark hair, the shape of her nose, and then her eyes. Those distinctive gray-silver eyes that had skipped a generation from his grandmother. I saw the exact moment he knew. We were just leaving. I grabbed Luna's hand, book scattering. "Wait." He said it quietly, but I heard the CEO in it, the man used to getting what he wanted. "Please, Mommy, my books, Luna protested as I pulled her away. He followed. Of course he did. Keeping pace but not crowding. When we reached a quieter corner near the exit, he stepped in front of us. Not blocking exactly, but making it clear we needed to finish this. She's mine. Not a question. No, the word came out fierce, feral. She's mine. Luna pressed against my leg, confused by my tone. I forced myself to soften, kneeling to her level. Hey, baby, why don't you go look at that display right there? The one with the butterflies? Stay where I can see you. She went reluctantly, casting curious glances back at us. How old? His voice cracked slightly. It doesn't matter. It does. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar it hurt. God, Claire, why didn't you— Why didn't I what? Track you down between your meetings? Interrupt your expansion into Asia? You made your priorities crystal clear, Atlas. That's not— He stopped, jaw working. We need to talk. No, we don't. I have rights. You have nothing. But even as I said it, I knew it wasn't true. Luna bounded back, clutching a butterfly book. Mommy, can we get this one, please? Atlas looked at her like she was a miracle, which I supposed she was. That night, after Luna was asleep, I sat on the bathroom floor and let myself remember. The tiles were cold against my legs, grounding me as memories I'd locked away came flooding back. We'd met at Northwestern, him brilliant and driven, me idealistic and in love with words. He'd read every article I wrote for the college paper, marking up drafts with suggestions that made me furious and then, eventually, made me better. I fell in love with his mind first, then his awkward smile, then the way he'd forget to eat when he was coding unless I brought him food. Marry me, he'd said 6 months after graduation. Both of us broke but dizzy with possibility. I'm going to build something incredible, Claire. Be part of it with me. I'd said yes instantly. 22 and stupid enough to think love could survive anything. The first 2 years were golden. We lived in a tiny Chicago apartment, him building his startup while I worked at a literary magazine. I'd edit articles while he coded beside me, occasionally reading passages aloud that made him look up and smile. We were partners, equals, building our dreams side by side. Then the venture capital came. Suddenly there were investors, board meetings, trips to Silicon Valley. He started missing dinners, then weekends, then my birthday. But he was changing the world, he said, democratizing information. How could I complain about that? The night I found out I was pregnant, he was in Seoul. I stared at the test, hands shaking, and called him. Can't talk now, he'd said, voices echoing behind him. Closing the Tanaka deal. Everything okay? Yes, no, call me when you can. He didn't call for 3 days. By then, I'd made a list. Pros and cons of telling him. The cons column was longer, filled with bitter truths. He'd feel obligated. He'd resent the distraction. He'd try to schedule fatherhood between board meetings. Or worse, he'd want to be involved just enough to hurt our child the way he was hurting me. The final fight came 2 weeks later. I'd been throwing up all morning, exhausted and hormonal, when he called to say he was extending his London trip another month. I need you here, I had said, pride crumbling. Please, Atlas, I need you to come home. Don't be dramatic, Claire, this is important. And I'm not? That's not what I— Static crackled. Look, we'll talk when I get back. I have to go. Love you. He hung up before I could respond. Before I could tell him about the life growing inside me, the morning sickness, the terror of doing this alone. I'd packed that night. Now, sitting on my bathroom floor 6 years later, I pressed my palms against my eyes. Luna had his stubborn streak, his way of tilting his head when thinking. She'd inherited his brilliant mind, but thankfully not his ability to disappear into it. My phone buzzed. Unknown number, but I knew. We need to talk. Please. Not about rights or lawyers. Just please. I deleted it without responding. Then I went to Luna's room and watched her sleep, one arm flung over her stuffed elephant, completely unaware that her carefully protected world had cracked today. He gave me a week. I should have known it was strategy, not kindness. Atlas Pierce didn't become a tech mogul by accepting no for an answer. The doorbell rang on a rainy Thursday evening. Luna was at the kitchen table, tongue poking out as she colored a picture of a mermaid with purple hair. Through the peephole, I saw him, but he wasn't alone. A woman in a severe suit stood beside him, briefcase in hand. Mommy, someone's at the door, Luna called out, already starting to get up. Stay there, baby. Keep coloring. My hands shook as I undid the locks. I opened the door just wide enough to slip outside, pulling it shut behind me. The rain had stopped, but the air was thick with moisture and the scent of wet earth. A lawyer? Really? The woman stepped forward. Ms. Bennett, I'm Sarah Chen. I'm not here in an adversarial capacity. Mr. Pierce simply wanted— I know what he wants. I crossed my arms, suddenly aware I was wearing an old college sweatshirt and paint-stained jeans. The answer is no. Atlas held up a hand, and the lawyer stepped back. 5 minutes, Claire, please. She's happy. We're happy. Why can't you just— Because she's my daughter. The words came out raw. Because I've missed 5 years. Because I didn't know, and that's killing me. But I know now, and I can't just walk away. Through the door, I could hear Luna singing the cleanup song. In 40 seconds, she'd come looking for me. You walked away from plenty before. His jaw tightened. That's not fair. Isn't it? Luna's voice got closer. Mommy, where are you? I reached for the door handle, but Atlas caught my wrist. Not hard, just enough to stop me. I'm not here to take her away. I'm not here to hurt either of you. I want to know her. I want to be her father. You don't get to— The door opened. Luna peered out, eyes widening at the strangers. Mommy? I pulled my wrist free, kneeling beside her. It's okay, baby. These are just people Mommy knows from work. Luna studied Atlas with that direct gaze children have. You look sad, she announced. Something shifted in his face. I am a little sad. Why? Because I lost something important a long time ago and I just found it again. Luna considered this. My friend Mia lost her turtle, but we found him under the couch. Was it under your couch? A sound escaped him, half laugh, half sob. Something like that. Okay, inside now, I said, guiding Luna back. Go wash your hands for dinner. She went, but not before waving at Atlas. Bye, sad man. I hope you feel better. When I turned back, he was pressing the heels of his hands against his eyes. She's perfect, he whispered. Yes, she is. I glanced at the lawyer, who was pretending to check her phone. What do you actually want, Atlas? A chance, that's all. Let me prove I'm not the man who let you down. Thunder rolled in the distance. I thought about Luna's drawings on the fridge, all of them featuring 2 stick figures. Her and me, never a third. I'll think about it, I heard myself say. It was more than he'd hoped for. I could see it in the way his shoulders dropped, tension leaving his body. Thank you. They left, and I went inside to find Luna setting the table, carefully placing 2 forks, 2 plates. Our party of 2 that had always felt complete. Until today. 3 weeks later, we met at Laurelhurst Park. Public, neutral, with a playground where Luna could retreat if things got awkward. I'd told her Atlas was an old friend who wanted to meet her. The lie tasted bitter, but the truth wasn't mine alone to tell anymore. He arrived early. I saw him from the parking lot sitting on a bench, hands clasped between his knees. He'd traded the suit for jeans and a Portland Timbers t-shirt that looked suspiciously new. You hate soccer, I said by way of greeting. He startled, then smiled sheepishly. Research indicated it would make me appear more approachable and less corporate. Despite myself, I almost smiled. Did you focus group the jeans too? No, but I did watch 3 YouTube videos on playground etiquette. Luna burst from the car before I could respond, racing toward the swings. Push me, Mommy! In a minute, baby. I turned to Atlas. Rules. You don't tell her who you are. Not yet. You don't make promises you can't keep. You don't— Disappear, he finished quietly. I won't. We walked to the playground together, maintaining careful distance. Luna had already made friends with another girl, the 2 of them negotiating turns on the slide with the seriousness of UN delegates. She's outgoing, Atlas observed. You were shy at that age. You don't know what I was like at that age. You told me. That night in Evanston when we got caught in the rain, you said you hid behind your mother's legs until 2nd grade. I'd forgotten that conversation, but apparently he hadn't. It was disorienting. This evidence that he'd paid attention to things that didn't involve term sheets or market projections. Luna ran over, breathless and grinning. Mom, can we go feed the ducks? We didn't bring bread, sweetheart. Atlas reached into his pocket, producing a small bag of oats. Actually, bread isn't good for ducks, but these are safe. Luna's eyes widened. Really? How come? And just like that, he was explaining waterfowl nutrition to a 5-year-old using the same intensity he'd once reserved for pitch decks. Luna hung on every word, occasionally interrupting with questions he answered with surprising patience. I trailed behind as they walked to the pond, watching my daughter's animated gestures, his careful attention. She showed him her special throwing technique, which mostly involved spinning in circles until the oats flew everywhere. "You're very good at that," he said solemnly. "I know. No modesty in my girl. What's your name?" "Atlas." She scrunched her nose. "That's weird." "Luna's pretty unusual, too," I pointed out. "But mine's pretty unusual. His is weird unusual." She studied him. "Do you have kids?" I tensed, but Atlas handled it smoothly. "I'd like to someday." "You should. Kids are fun. Except when we have to clean our rooms. That part's not fun." An hour passed without my noticing. Luna had appointed herself Atlas's guide to the park, showing him the secret spots where fairies lived and the best trees for climbing. Though she wasn't allowed to climb them yet, she informed him seriously. When it was time to leave, she hugged him goodbye without prompting. I saw his face over her shoulder, stunned, grateful, close to tears. "Will you come back?" Luna asked. He looked at me. I found myself nodding. "Yes," he said. "If it's okay with your mom, I'd like that." In the car, Luna chattered about her new friend. "He's sad inside," she announced. "But not mean sad, just lonely sad." Out of the mouths of babes. That night, I got a text. "Thank you. I know it couldn't have been easy." I stared at it for a long time before responding. "She liked you. I liked her too." 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times before his next message. "I'm in town for the next month. No travel planned." It was an offering, a promise. I didn't respond, but I didn't delete the message either. The visits became routine. Saturdays at the park, then the children's museum, then the library. Always public, always with me watching. Luna started asking about Atlas between visits, wondering what he was doing, if he liked the books she'd recommended. 6 weeks in, she got sick. Nothing serious, just a summer cold, but she was miserable and clingy. I texted Atlas to cancel our Saturday plans. "Can I bring her something? Soup? Medicine? We're fine. Please, I'd like to help." An hour later, he showed up with 3 different soups from the co-op. Children's Tylenol, a new thermometer, and a stuffed penguin wearing a doctor's coat. "For the patient," he said, holding up the penguin. Luna was on the couch, buried in blankets and self-pity. She perked up at the penguin. "He's perfect. His name is Dr. Waddles." "An excellent name." Atlas hovered in the doorway, clearly wanting to come closer but respecting boundaries. "You can sit," I said, too tired to maintain walls. "She's not that contagious." He sat carefully on the edge of the couch. Luna immediately scooted over, resting her fevered head against his arm. He froze, looking at me with something like panic. "She's a cuddler when she's sick," I explained. "Oh." He relaxed incrementally, then carefully put his arm around her. "Is this okay?" Luna responded by burrowing closer. "Will you read to me? Mommy's tired." I started to protest, but he was already reaching for the book on the coffee table. "The Paper Bag Princess. Excellent choice." His voice was different when he read, softer, more animated. Luna fought sleep, trying to stay awake for the story, but eventually lost the battle. Even then, Atlas kept reading, finishing the book in a whisper. "You can stop," I said. "She's out." "I know, I just wanted to see how it ended." He studied her sleeping face. "Does she get sick often?" "Normal kid stuff, couple times a year." "You handle it alone?" "I handle everything alone." It came out more bitter than intended. He absorbed that, still holding our daughter like she was made of spun glass. "I'm sorry." "For what specifically? There's a long list." "All of it, but mostly for making you feel like you had to do this alone, for being the kind of man you couldn't tell." I didn't have a response to that. We sat in silence, Luna snoring softly between us until the afternoon light faded. When he finally left, after Luna woke up and demanded he stay for dinner, soup and crackers, eaten in pajamas, I walked him to the door. "Thank you," I said, "for the soup and everything." I meant what I said. I want to help. Not just the fun parts, the sick days, the tantrums, the mundane Tuesday afternoons, all of it. "Atlas, I know I have to earn it. I know. But I'm not going anywhere, Claire, not this time." After he left, Luna curled up beside me, clutching Dr. Waddles. "I like Atlas," she said sleepily. "He reads good voices." "Well, he reads well." "That too," she yawned. Is he going to be around for always? The question I'd been dreading. I don't know, baby. Would you want him to be? She considered this with 5-year-old gravity. Yeah, he makes you less worried. What? Your face. It's less scrunchy when he's here. I didn't know what to say to that. Hadn't realized she'd noticed my constant state of tension, or that apparently it eased when Atlas was around. That night, I let myself admit what I'd been fighting for weeks. He was good with her. Patient, attentive, present in a way I'd never seen before. Luna was already half in love with him. The question was whether I could risk the other half. I found out about the IPO from a Business Insider alert on my phone. Nexus Global Media plans second public offering, Pierce to ring opening bell. My hands shook as I read. The article quoted him extensively about expansion plans, new acquisitions, the future of digital media. All the language I remembered. Growth, scale, disruption. Nothing about the man who'd spent last Saturday teaching Luna to fold origami cranes. That evening, after Luna was asleep, I called him. Were you going to tell me? No preamble, no pleasantries. Silence then. It's not what you think. Enlighten me. Can we talk in person? No, we can talk now or we can go back to not talking at all. I heard him moving, a door closing. The board has been pushing for it. I've been resisting, but... But what? You accidentally fell into another IPO? Oops, how did that happen? Claire, you said you'd changed. Said you wanted to be present, to be a father. But you're gearing up for the same damn thing that destroyed us before. That's not... He exhaled sharply. I'm trying to get out. The IPO is my exit strategy. One last push, then I'm done. I've heard that before. One more deal, Claire. One more quarter. One more year. It never ends with you. This time is different. Why? Because of Luna? You think she'll be enough to change your fundamental nature? She wasn't enough to make you come home 6 years ago. I didn't know about her. Because you were never here to know. We were both breathing hard, years of unspoken accusations finally spilling out. I'm trying, he said quietly. I know I failed you. Failed us. But I'm trying to do better. Trying isn't enough. Not when it comes to her. What do you want me to do? Walk away from everything? I have obligations, investors, employees, and I want you to choose. For once in your life, actually choose. I am choosing. The IPO. The IPO is you trying to have it both ways. Again, I hung up. Then I went to Luna's room and watched her sleep, Dr. Waddles tucked under one arm. She'd started drawing pictures of the 3 of us lately. Her family portraits now included a tall figure with dark hair beside her usual drawings of us. I couldn't let him break her heart the way he'd broken mine. The next morning, I texted him, "Don't come Saturday, or any Saturday. We're done." His response was immediate. "Please don't do this. Let me explain." I deleted the thread and blocked his number. Luna asked about him, of course. I told her he had to go away for work. The lie made me sick, but watching her face fall made me sicker. "But he said he'd teach me chess," she said, bottom lip trembling. "I know, baby, I'm sorry. When will he come back?" "I don't know." She didn't cry, which was almost worse. Just nodded and went to her room, Dr. Waddles dragging behind her. That night, she drew a picture. 2 figures as usual, her and me. But where Atlas had been, there was now a gray scribble, like she'd drawn him and then erased him but couldn't quite get him to disappear completely. I taped it to the fridge with all the others and pretended my heart wasn't breaking. 2 weeks passed. Luna stopped asking about Atlas, but she also stopped drawing family pictures. She was quieter, less sparkly, and I told myself it would pass. Children were resilient. She'd forget. Then came the call from her teacher. Luna had told the class about her friend who went away during share time. She'd cried when another child said maybe he left because he didn't like her anymore. I sat in my car outside the school, head on the steering wheel, finally understanding what I'd done. In trying to protect her from potential heartbreak, I'd caused actual heartbreak. In trying to avoid becoming my mother, bitter and abandoned, I'd become something worse, someone who abandoned first. That evening, I unblocked his number. 23 messages appeared, dated over the past 2 weeks. I didn't read them, just sent one of my own. "I'm sorry, we need to talk." He replied within seconds. "When?" "Tomorrow, after Luna is asleep." My house. "I'll be there." The next night, I opened the door to find him on my porch, looking rough. unshaven, hollow-eyed, nothing like the polished CEO from the business articles. "You look terrible," I said. "You look beautiful." "Don't. Sorry, habit." He rubbed his face. "Can I come in?" We sat at my kitchen table, the same one where Luna colored her pictures. I'd made tea neither of us would drink. "I withdrew from the IPO," he said without preamble. "Shocked the board, pissed off investors, probably torpedoed my reputation, but it's done." I stared at him. "What?" "You were right. I was trying to have it both ways. Always thinking I could do one more deal, make one more move, and then focus on what mattered. But there's always another deal." He wrapped his hands around his mug. "I spent 6 years building an empire I don't even want anymore. What I want is Saturday afternoons at the park and bedtime stories and being there when she's sick." "Atlas, I know it might be too late. I know I might have blown it already, but I need you to know I chose. Finally, actually chose." I thought about Luna's drawings, the gray scribble where he used to be. "There's something I need to tell you about why I left." And finally, 6 years late, I told him about the pregnancy test, the morning sickness, the nights I'd cried myself to sleep wondering if I'd made the right choice. "I wasn't trying to punish you," I finished. "I just couldn't bear to be another obligation on your calendar. Couldn't bear for her to be one either." He was crying silently, tears tracking down his face. "I'm so sorry. God, Claire, I'm so sorry." "I know." We sat there, two people who'd loved each other badly and too young, trying to find a way forward. "Is it too late?" he asked finally. "For her?" "For her. I don't know about us, but for her, she asks about you every day. Keeps setting 3 plates at dinner even though I tell her not to." "Can I see her?" "Yes, but Atlas, if you're in, you're in. No half measures, no exit strategies. She's already lost you once." "I know." He reached across the table, not quite touching my hand. "I'm in, all the way in." I believed him. Maybe because I needed to, or maybe because for the first time since I'd known him, he looked at peace with a decision. "Okay," I said, "okay." The next morning, when Luna came down for breakfast, Atlas was at the stove making pancakes, her favorite. She froze in the doorway. Dr. Waddles clutched to her chest. "You came back," she whispered. He knelt to her level. "I'm sorry I went away. That wasn't fair to you." She studied him with those serious gray eyes. "Are you going away again?" "No, never again, I promise." "Pinky promise?" He held out his pinky solemnly. "Pinky promise." She linked her tiny finger with his, then threw herself into his arms. Over her shoulder, Atlas looked at me, and I saw everything there. Gratitude, hope, a love so fierce it took my breath away. That was 3 months ago. Atlas kept his promise. No travel, no late-night calls, no choosing work over family. He'd morphed his company into something smaller, more manageable, focused on educational technology. He said it was more meaningful, but I think he just wanted to understand Luna's world better. Tonight, Luna was drawing at the kitchen table while Atlas cooked dinner, a new routine that still felt surreal. I was editing an article on my laptop, occasionally looking up to watch them. "What are you drawing, sweetheart?" Atlas asked, stirring something that actually smelled edible. He'd been taking cooking lessons, determined to master more than pancakes. "Our family." She held up the paper proudly. 3 figures holding hands under a tree. But this time, there were no gray scribbles, no erasure marks. Just 3 people, solid and permanent. "It's perfect," he said. She beamed, then looked at me. "Mommy, are you crying?" "Happy tears," I assured her. Atlas abandoned the stove to wrap his arms around me from behind. "Happy tears are good," he murmured against my hair. Luna went back to her drawing, adding a sun, some flowers, Dr. Waddles. At the top, in her careful kindergarten letters, she wrote, "Together is home." I thought about the Dan-E I'd imagined for us once, the carefully plotted story arc of our relationship, how I'd tried to write us a tragedy, complete with abandonment and loss. But life, it turned out, was more generous than fiction. It allowed for rewrites, second drafts, characters who could change. We weren't back together, Atlas and I. Not yet. Maybe not ever in the way we'd been before. But we were something new, co-parents, friends, 2 people learning to trust again. He had an apartment 10 minutes away, close enough to be present, but far enough to give us space to heal. "Dinner's ready," Atlas announced. carrying plates to the table. Luna scrambled into her chair, the one that used to be just hers but was now Luna's special seat, in a kitchen that had expanded to hold 3. As we ate, she chattered about school, about her friend Mia's new hamster, about the book she wanted Atlas to read at bedtime. Ordinary moments that felt miraculous because they were happening at all. Later, after stories and songs and one more glass of water, Atlas and I stood in her doorway, watching her sleep. "Thank you," he whispered, "for giving me another chance." "Thank you for taking it." We stood there a moment longer, 2 people who'd broken everything and were slowly, carefully, building something new from the pieces. Not the same, but maybe, hopefully, stronger for having been tested. Outside Luna's window, Portland's evening sky painted itself in shades of hope. And in her bed, our daughter slept peacefully, secure in the knowledge that tomorrow we'd all still be here. Together was home, she'd written. She was right.